Hi, everyone. I know I'm running a little late this week. I'm sorry. Classes are now in full swing. So I have the best of intentions of continuing to do this diary series, but some may be late. I'm getting this one in, kind of on time though, so I don't feel too bad about it. So last diary, I was a little unsure because I was working on editing things and I'd had a first meeting with an advisor. And so I was kind of in my feelings about things, which is good. It's not bad. Being in your feelings is not necessarily a bad thing. So I want to talk about a little bit of praise I got this week and something to consider for my work and for your work if you're doing creative work. Um, I got really good feedback on kind of making space for other collaborators. Now, something that happens in theater, which is not unique to theater, but is unique in the creative process that theater really highlights, almost more so than film, because film has so many hidden roles and hidden components. Theater specifically, it does have a few hidden components, but things are tend to be out there a little bit more because there's more intimacy to it. You see stagehands, for instance, which you don't see in other places. There are several plays that highlight like directors. A chorus line is pretty famously one of them. Um, Sorry, there's a plane going on overhead, so I don't want to lose my train of thought. I got praised for being able to make space for set designers, essentially, for lighting techs. One of the things about theater collaboration, which I'm really excited to work on specifically for this, is that essentially as a playwright, I write a world but I leave space for people to interpret it. Things that are very important, you don't leave open to interpretation. I am very cautious about using words like sometimes, for instance, because if there's something that needs to happen at a specific time in a play, you don't want to leave that open to interpretation that could like ruin the scene. Um, it is up to you to ride the line between that specificity and giving control to a director. And that's something that is not instinctual in a lot of ways. It's something you do have to learn and cultivate. And fine. If you go to see a play, you'll probably notice that a playwright has a rhythm. Seeing an Albee play or a Mamet play is very different from a Sondheim. It's very different from how Lin-Manuel Miranda does it. It's very different from going to see Tennessee Williams. It's very different from going to see Susan Laurie Parks. So every playwright has their rhythm and kind of how they want things done. But the one constant is making space to open for others. One of the things I love that is in a play where it's an unwritten rule that could be not written if the director or actors don't want to see it for the way it's written. Um, if you've only ever seen the movie, you don't get a sense of this. But Tennessee Williams' Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which is probably my favorite film adaptation of one of his plays. The house in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is really a character, and it's about privacy, and it's about paranoia, and it's about feeling really hemmed in. That's what Maggie feels throughout the play. And you really get that from the stage directions of how Sondheim specifically wants the house set up, how he wants the illusion to be, how he wants the rooms to be. Glass Menagerie is even more this. Uh, the one thing I love about Williams was kind of he was the master of atmosphere as much as language. A Streetcar is about that. Cat obviously is about that. Suddenly Last Summer is about that. Um, and so I don't know if he really thought about it as much because I think just practically speaking back, in the 40s and 50s, they not necessarily thinking about it that much. But it's something we think about now, especially in collaboration. It's not really a my way or the highway sort of thing. Maybe Andrew Lloyd Webber gets, away with that, but we saw what happened with Phantom of the Opera and Cats, so maybe he shouldn't have gotten away with it if he had any control over that. Um, so there was praise because I gave kind of not a hyper specific direction, but I gave a very general direction about what I want. And what I want in Cobblestone Kingdom is not just for this play to be medieval, but I want it to be a forest set. Now, I said we were going to talk about what having a forest set meant, and I will, because I have some thoughts. That's not what this is for. This is for the acknowledgement of in doing a creative pursuit with others, you have to learn how to make space for their artistic vision. And so it's a talent to build that hopefully I've done well and done right and will see the fruits of. Specifically, I want, except for when we're in scenes set at the castle, I want the forest to be on display. I want you to feel what it is to be in a fairy tale. And for me, specifically, in a Cinderella type fairy tale, it's about a foresty area. You see this in a lot of Cinderellas. Ever After is like this. Cinderella 97 is like this in a lot of ways. And I think that kind of foresty, vaguely European look really works. I think that the forest is dark and dangerous, but can also be welcoming. There are some Americanized roots in theater, especially like The Crucible has the feel of a forest to it. Scarlet Letter does have the feel of a forest town to it. So I think there's also something very American in the fairy tale about that. I know a lot of fairy tales take place in the forest. You know, Snow White specifically has that forest set, but um, American work kind of when they want to do something wild and they don't want to use the West, they'll tend to go to a forest. So I think it's a happy marriage. And that was one thing one of my advisors said was that they were kind of enticed and excited as a director about how to talk about, how do we set that up? Do we do it on a backdrop? Is it a painted set? Is it a projection? And I give just enough instruction to say, hey, this needs to be here except for these times, that it works. It allows a director to play, it'll allow for different interpretations, it'll allow for places that don't have as much money and may just have a projector, and that's how they do things. It still allows them to work with what I've created. Um, and I love that. I love what it'll look like to see that. Because forest isn't the same everywhere, especially in America. There's like 4 or 5 different types of forests, depending upon where you even just live in California, honestly. Um, so it's a very exciting time, and I wanted to kind of share praise and uplift. There's an interesting thing, a story about people fighting about when to put set pieces on and then not agreeing, and it was super fun to consider that as well of how much is supposed to be concrete needs to happen as a set piece and how much do I need to control when it goes on just so it's not a distraction during the rehearsal process. So it was very exciting. Also exciting news. I'm headed toward a table read just for the speaking parts, not for songs. And I'm probably doing that at the end of September, so I'll be able to report back on hearing it. But between doing the haircut um, and starting that process and really getting the feedback from advisors, people that have been in the industry and the community where I live, has been really great just to start. Um, I'm looking forward to getting more. I'm looking forward to what this year will bring, even more so than I was before. And I'm looking forward to doing more of these thesis diaries to keep me honest and stable throughout this process. So hold on to your hats, and I will see you next time while you think about the idea of how do you collaborate with others and what do you say concretely that you concretely need in order to have a successful show. It's very exciting.